Here at the Republican National Convention, Republican Senator Mike Lee has weighed in on President Obama's new idea on a way to overturn the Citizens United Supreme Court decision. President Obama has floated the idea of a constitutional amendment to overturn the Citizens United to keep corporate money out of politics. Do you think that is something that will get a lot of support in Congress if that actually comes up?
It would certainly not encounter any support from me. Look, this is a suggestion with which I respectfully but most forcefully disagree. In the first place, we haven't seen any language of what that would look like. But in the second place, there's a reason why we haven't seen language. What we're talking about here is a full-throated assault on political speech. There is absolutely no way to overturn the Citizens United opinion without giving the government power to restrict what the Supreme Court has determined to be core political speech. That's exactly why the Founding Fathers put the First Amendment in the Constitution.
Do you think the Democrats have a point at all when they say corporate money has too much of an influence on the political process, and Citizens United kind of opened the floodgates and made it worse with the super PACs? Do you think they have a point when they say that?
Well, of course they have a point. It's just wrong. Look, you can't look at that and say this justifies giving government the power to restrict core political speech. You can't do it. Much as you might dislike somebody's speech, the answer to speech you don't like isn't government restriction on speech. It's more speech. It's leaving it open. You know, the proverbial canary in the mine might be annoying to some of the miners, but the fact that the canary is singing means that the air's safe to breathe and that the miner's not going to die.
Senator McConnell has made the point, Leader McConnell, that if there was more transparency, like the Disclose Act is something, as you know, Democrats are pushing. If there was more transparency and you could actually see the donors to campaigns, like through super PACs and whatnot, could open them up to threats and intimidation and make things worse in that respect. Is that something that you agree with or disagree with?
Well, that is a concern, and then there's an additional layer of concern on top of that. Some of these proposals, like the Disclose Act, tend to favor one side's political speech and disfavor another, tend to favor the union side and disfavor everybody else. And that isn't fair. It illustrates one of the real problems with giving the government the power to restrict core political speech.
And last question for you, why do you think the Democrats are taking this to this kind of level where the president is actually saying we have to amend the Constitution, taking it to that high of a level?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I try not to speak on someone else's behalf. I suspect that maybe they've discovered that this scores well in focus groups, maybe it polls well, but it doesn't make for good policy. In any event, you do look at this president. You have to remember this is a president who has attempted to expand his own power, has attempted to expand the power of the federal government at every turn. In that sense, maybe it shouldn't be all that surprising that he's trying to expand government power here yet again, in this instance at the expense of our core political speech rights.
Inside the Tampa Bay Times Forum at the Republican National Convention, I'm Nicholas Ballasy, the Daily Caller.